Hey, I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to today's video to our Introduction to Command Line and Bash Scripting series, episode 1. We're really going to focus in on the basics. So we're going to take a step back away from Bash scripting and really focus in today on our command line foundations and really get comfortable with terminal. So our main focus is by the end of this video, in about 10 minutes or so, we're going to get you really comfortable with using command line and using terminal. Now, this is by no means an exhaustive list at all. You're definitely going to need more time and much more in depth. You can go as far as you want into the rabbit hole, but we really just want to focus in on getting you comfortable and familiar with most of the meat and potatoes of what you need to know to get started and get going in command line and using terminal. So let's go ahead and get started. Best way to learn is just get to it. So let's go ahead with our first command. We have ls. Now this is going to list the contents of our current directory. So we see here we have desktop, downloads, movies, etc. We have all our several different applications or directories. Now we can go ahead and do ls, which is our listing contents within our directory, and use our -l flag. Now this is going to set the long mode. And what this does is we can see it's going to set up the file permissions. It's going to show us file permissions, and it's going to show us other additional information for each of the files. So that could be useful information if we want to see and check the actual permissions for specific files, for specific directories. So that can actually be very useful, just making sure to go ahead and check this is read, write, and the X is execute. So our next command that we really want to go ahead and understand is we want to be able to go ahead and move in between directories, move in between files. So again, if we list out our contents here, let's say we want to go ahead and move into our documents folder. So we're going to go ahead and use our cd command and type out documents. Now, instead of having to type out the entire documents word, what we can do is just say, let's say doc, and then press the tab button, and that will autofill our current selection so long as there's nothing else that's also called like doc something. So again, here we see we only have documents, then downloads. There's nothing related to doc, so we can go ahead and type in that tab button to autofill, and that is going to go ahead and set us up into our documents folder. And we can see here we have PerezTheDev _ YouTube. So again, we can go ahead and change directory cd into our PerezTheDev content, and we can just tab over as well. And now we are into our PerezTheDev _ YouTube directory. So there we have it. And an even simpler way to go ahead and moving through different directories is by going ahead and doing change directory. We're going to go back to our root directory with this little tilde sign here. And now we'll see we're back where we started, where this is our root directory, which is our highest level directory that we can access. So it gives us a big picture view of everything that's within our current system. And so we can see we're back to where we really started. Now our screen's getting a little cluttered, so we can go ahead and type out clear. The clear command is going to go ahead and clear out the screen for us. And so what we can do, instead of having to type out change directory documents, then change directory, whatever our other folder was, we can go ahead and type out documents. Then it leaves the /, and then we can go into the next folder we want to switch into. And so now we can go all the way to our PerezTheDev _ YouTube without having to change directory into documents, then change directory into PerezTheDev _ YouTube. So now we see we have an examples directory. So we're actually going to go ahead and change into that as well. And this should be empty. So we see it empty here. And so what we want to go ahead and do is let's go ahead and set up a folder. So we're going to go ahead and use touch, and let's say examples.txt. And so what that does is it will either change file access, but if the file does not exist, it is going to then create a specific file with that name that we designated with the default permissions. So now we'll see here, we've actually created an examples.txt folder or file, sorry. So now we can go ahead and use the nano command, and that'll allow us to go ahead and actually edit the txt file. So we can do something like hello world right there. And so now I press Control X, and that's going to ask us to save the current file, and we'll go ahead and tap yes, and then just hit enter. We can go ahead and modify the name if we really wanted to, but we're going to go ahead and just leave it the same. And so go ahead, if you want to rename it, feel free to rename it, and then hit enter. And so now we see we have our examples.txt file right in there. We can go ahead and use the cat command. With the cat command, it is going to concatenate and print the specific file we want. So we see cat examples.txt. And so we see the contents of the actual txt file, hello world. And so another thing we can do, let's say we want to go ahead and now create a bash script. So we're going to go ahead and touch examples.sh, or what we can even do instead, make it a little more fun, nano examples.txt. And let's say we want to add echo instead. And so now we control X, and that will allow us to exit, but it will also ask us to save. So we just hit yes. And then we're going to save as a .sh file and hit enter. Save file under different name. We're still going to hit Y for yes. And now we'll see we have examples.sh and we have examples.txt. So notice how here, because we renamed it something else, it saves that file with that different name without overriding the previous file that we had it as. So now let's go ahead and execute our examples.sh file. So to do that, we would type in / and then the name of the file we want to execute. So we go ahead and type in / examples.sh. Now we see, well, we got a permission denied. Now you might be thinking, well, this has to be an error. Well, let's go ahead and check our long mode list here, and we see we have read permissions and we have write permissions, but we don't have execution permissions for our bash script. So how do we go ahead and change permissions for our bash script? So what we want to go ahead and do is chmod. Now that is also known as chmod. And in this case, we want to change permissions for that specific file. And so what we do is we use chmod. And since we want to add the executable permissions, which you're going to see here as an X, we want to go ahead and do +X, again, to add executable permissions to our current file. And now we have examples.sh that we want to add the permissions to. And so here we go. We've added our permissions now to the specific file. And now we're going to ls-l, and we see now that our examples.sh file has the executable permissions that we want. So let's go ahead and clear up our screen. And so now we should be able to go ahead and run our script. And so another little tidbit you can do, you can tap the up button and just scroll through to find our actual, our previously run commands. So here we have our / examples.sh command. So we're going to execute this file here. And now we should be able to go ahead and execute. And now we see it types out the hello world command for us. So now we were able to go ahead and execute our actual file. So that's really cool. So now let's see, we have an examples.sh and we have an examples.txt. Well, let's say, for example, we only wanted to see our .sh files. Well, let's move our other non.sh files into a different directory. Well, we don't have any other directories in our examples directory. So let's go ahead and make directory. And let's call this one others. So now we see we have our two files and we have our others directory. And so now we notice here we use the mkdir or make directory command. And again, that allows us to go ahead and make a file within our current directory. So again, we went ahead and used mkdir or make directory to create this others directory in our current one. So there we have it, make directory mkdir. And so now we want to go ahead and move our .txt file into this others folder. And so the way to do that is we would type in mv, which is going to move our file from our source target. So in this case, we're going to select our examples.txt and we want to move it into our others folder. So here we have move our examples.txt into others. And so now if we ls, we'll see we have others and examples. Well, where did the .txt file go? It went in our others directory. And we can go ahead and check that by moving into our others directory. And see, so now we have our examples.txt file inside of our others. Now, to go back a folder, we will go ahead and type in cd space dot dot, and that is going to allow us to move one folder back. See, so now we're back in our examples directory. And now another thing we can do here is, if let's say we want to go ahead and copy our examples file over into our others, but we want to keep this file here. So we have our bash script here. Let's say we want to go ahead and copy it over. We can use the cp command, and that is going to copy the file over. So again, cp examples.sh, and we're going to go ahead and copy it into our, let's say, others directory. And so now we still have our examples.sh file, but if we move into the others directory, if I can spell it right, we see now we have our .sh file and we have our .txt file. Let's go ahead again and clear up our screen, and let's move back one into our original examples folder. And so now what we can go ahead and do, let's ls real quick. Let's say, actually we'll move into our others folder, and let's say we want to actually delete one of our files here. So let's say we want to delete our examples.txt file. We can use the rm command, and that is going to remove the file that we request. So here we have rm and then examples.txt. And now we see we no longer have our .txt file anymore. And so another thing we can do, if we want to remove the directory altogether with all of its contents, with all its files inside. So see, we still have our others directory here. What we can actually do is type in rm, and we can either use -d. Now that is going to remove an empty directory. So again, we can use the rm command to remove files and directories, but to remove directories, we have to either use the rm with the -d flag to delete an empty directory. But in our case, since our others directory has files in it, it has the .sh file, we don't want to just use the -d. We actually want to go ahead and use -r. This is known as the recursive option. And so what that's going to allow us to do is to be able to delete any non-empty directories. So if we go ahead and do rm-r, it is going to delete our entire directory, even if it has files inside. So I'll even show you guys. If we try to do remove and then others, we see here we have others is a directory. So we just want to go ahead and do remove -r for recursive and then others. And there we have it. We'll see others has been deleted. So now we've actually deleted the others directory. Now, a few little tips and tricks before we go. If you're trying to go ahead and type out a command, and let's say you're trying to change directories, and let's say you want to change directories into examples, but you misspell examples, what you can do to sort of go ahead and traverse this line, instead of having to just go left or right, what you can do is do Control A to go all the way to the left, or Control E to go all the way to the right. Another option that you can do is select the Option key, no pun intended there, and then select where you want to go ahead and designate your cursor. So now you can move and fix that error right there, and go right there, and actually fix the issue instead of having to tap over several times until you get to the place you want to go ahead and update. Now, one last thing before we go, I want to go ahead and show you guys, if you guys have any other commands you really want to go ahead and start diving into and really learning more about, feel free to check out what's called the man pages. That is going to give you further information on different commands. So let's say man cd, you can learn all about the change directory. You can go ahead and tap in Q to quit, or man, let's say remove, remove directory entries. And so you can learn all about the different commands within the terminal, and usually they'll also give you examples and other flags that you can use as well. And the way to exit the man pages is to go ahead and just tap Q, and it will exit you out of the man pages. So feel free to use that whenever you're getting stuck on a command, or you want to learn maybe even more about a command, there's definitely going to be several different commands that have many different flags. And so it'd be very useful to learn more about each of the different commands, especially if they're commands you want to go ahead and will make your life a little easier. Please feel free to go ahead and check out the man pages for the different commands we use. But now you know and understand these several different commands, so just go ahead and really get started and really get going within terminal and just to really get started within the command line. So I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please let me know in the comments down below if there are any other commands you would love to see more of, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Remember, today's a great day to have a great day, so have a great day.